Hey guys, this is Gabe Dimmick from the Baseball Rebellion, and I wanted to do a quick swing breakdown of Byung-ho Park. He is a Korean hitter. He's been in the Korean League for multiple years, and he's been really successful, and he got signed by the Twins this year. And I wanted to talk about the impact that I thought he would have and whether I thought he would have success or not. There's a lot out there about Korean hitters or hitters coming over from other leagues and the power maybe not translating as well and things like that. And there's kind of a gamble there because they haven't faced professional big league pitching yet. And so there's always kind of this gamble that teams take. And I actually think Byung-ho Park is going to do really, really well with the Twins as long as they don't mess with his swing too much. He's not perfect, but he does a ton right. And I think that his lower half and upper half both work really well, and I think he can be really good this year. He hit over 50 home runs the last 2 years and hit over 300 as well. I don't think that he'll hit for quite as high of an average as he did in Korea, but I do think that the power numbers are going to be, in the 30 to 35 range in the major leagues, and that's a really good hitter and a really valuable player. So let's take a look at his swing, and let's take a look at why I think he's going to be good. So I have two videos today for us, and this first one is going to be from the side view, and it's going to be of a higher pitch. And he handles both high pitches and low pitches really well, which is a major reason I think he's going to do well. And I'm going to first let you see his swing kind of all the way through fluidly, and then I'll break it down. So you're going to see him go through his swing. You're going to see him swinging up at the ball. Play it one more time through. You're going to see him, his lower half and his upper half really working well together. His back hip thrust up and forward, and there's a lot of smoothness to his swing, but also some power and some explosiveness as well. So let's go ahead and break it down. Let's take a look at what we see. So the video starts here, after he's already had his foot hit the ground, so we don't really see some of the hip action and things that he has prior to this. We'll look at that in the next video that I have, but what I want you to really see here is from this position, you're going to see his lower half really turning more in a sideways fashion, so more like a merry-go-round. You're going to see his hip, his belt line kind of make this sideways circle here. His back hip's coming forward. You can see the knee coming in. You can see the heel being lifted up off the ground. And as that's happening, you're going to see at the same time, if you watch his front hip is turning and clearing the way. That's making his front knee rotate this way a little bit, and then when he fires, his leg's going to be able to straighten. So you're going to see his front leg straighten at contact. You're going to see his back hip. I'm going to back it up. So if we watch his back hip action from the time where he really gets those hips going, you're going to see his back hip really thrust up and forward here, kind of up through that ball. So the hip is going in the same direction as the upper body, and he's putting all his energy through the baseball, which gives him a lot of power. A lot of his consistency, I think, is going to come from his upper body. So his upper body, I think, is really good. And I want you to notice the separation between his elbows as he starts. And that separation is really going to continue throughout his whole swing. And the way that we teach the upper body to work is that every move should have a equal and opposite move. So if the front arm is going up, the back arm should be coming down. Everything's kind of equal and opposite. So you're going to look at as he turns, you're going to see his shoulders are starting to tilt back, which we want to see as the hips open. That creates a lot of separation. And then from there, you see the back elbow starting to come down. You see the front elbow starting to go up, and the space between the elbows is still very, very similar. So he's going to continue to turn. He's just going to let the barrel and let the hands kind of stay with the back shoulder. And he gets to this point right here where, you see a lot of people talking about hitting, and they say, all right, this is where you got to have the knob to the ball. And yeah, the knob is pointed at the ball or pointed at the pitcher, but it's only there for a second. So it's turning. His elbows are still apart, equal and opposite, back elbow, back shoulder coming down, front elbow, front shoulder going up here. And then as he's ready to get his barrel going in the way of the ball, and this is part of the timing, he's going to let that barrel come away from his body. He's going to unhinge the barrel. He's going to unhinge his wrist. And that's all that he's really going to do is going to continue his hip thrust. You're going to see that bat start to come away from the shoulder in the way of the catcher's mitt. And you can see that, the ball's white right here, so it's a little tough to see, but if it goes from the catcher's mitt, he is really in line with that ball for a long time. So if we watch his bat here and we see where he makes contact, we're going to see his barrel is right on that path, and that's a really, really good upper body here. Okay, So, he also has some fluidity to it. He doesn't just keep his arms bent the whole time. So he's going to keep them bent to contact, but it's not rigid. So if you watch here, as he keeps going through it, his arms do extend. And so a lot of people see this frame in a still frame and say, oh, well, the best hitters, they extend their arms at contact. They must have been extended at contact. But this is way after. So this is what we want to see, so that if he is early, let's pretend he was a little bit early. Let's say the ball, I'm going to back it up a little bit. Let's say the ball is out here, and let's see if he could still hit it. So his barrel would keep coming, and he could still hit it, right? And that ball is significantly out in front of him. So it's really key to notice that his upper body and his lower body working together. The hip thrust going up and forward, the upper body working up behind the ball in front of the catcher's mitt, and the arms are kind of the guide. They're part of the steering wheel of the car, if you will, but the engine is the lower half. The engine are the bigger muscles, and that's what's allowing him to do really well. Okay, so I really like his swing, especially on this high pitch, because he's able to flatten it out, get it up in the way, and he makes a really good contact position. Nice lean back. If you notice, his head is going to stay totally still from the time when he lands. So let's see, he lands. He has his head right here. Let's see what happens to his head as he turns. And it really stays close to that circle. I think the camera moves a little bit here, but he stays really close to being in that circle here, and that's a really good position. Great vision, swinging up through it. It's a very nice job there. So now we're going to switch over to a lower pitch, and we're going to see what he does on that particular pitch. So we got the front view and the side view here, and I want you to notice that as he's going to land, we're going to see kind of the same idea, the same move. So it's hard to tell exactly when his foot's in the ground, but we can see that his belt line, if you look where my cursor is, you can see that his belt line is starting to turn toward the pitcher, but that we don't see the chest yet. We don't see his chest because the hips are starting to open, clearing the way for the back hip to really fire through. The front hip is open, the front knee is open. You can see that back knee turning in right here. You can actually see at the bottom right of your screen that the heel is coming up, and that's exactly what we want to see. Now you can notice that this pitch is really low, so this is different than the last pitch that was higher. And so you're going to see that on that first one, that first video I showed you, he really flattened his barrel out a little bit to get it going a little more sideways, more like a merry-go-round. But this one, he's got to swing a little more like a Ferris wheel because the pitch is so low to get up behind it. So you're going to see that his bat kind of flails or releases down with his shoulders, again, more in that vertical path, so more like a Chris Bryant type. Okay, so you're just going to see that path. You can notice it. I put an arrow at the top right of the screen, and just watch how his barrel kind of flails down where it doesn't flatten out yet. It stays very vertical to get on plane with the pitch. So you can still see it coming basically from a little of the barrel, staying inside the ball out here. And of course, the hands are going to stay inside the ball. I've never seen a hitter get hit in the hands when they swing. So the barrel is staying inside the ball, and it's very in that vertical shape, that Ferris wheel upward shape, and he's able to get up behind it. All right, and that's how he swings up on both the low pitch and the high pitch. It maybe looks a little different, but that's because the pitch is at a different location. You're still going to see that back hip thrust. You're still going to see the wrist unhinge the barrel at the right time to get it up in the way of the catcher's mitt and up through the ball. But the key is that he swung more in a Ferris wheel shape on this one, where the previous video, if I switch back, he swings in a little bit more of a merry-go-round shape. So, he still gets the barrel going down back here, but from this point, it's going to be a little more of a sideways shape. It can't come quite so, redraw that line. It can't come quite so vertical because the pitch is higher. It's right at about his belt or just above his belt. Okay, so let's switch back over. I've got one more view to show you on this one. And all these balls are hit really far. He launches some home runs, and I'm hoping to see him do that some this year with the Twins. So this one gives us a little better view of how he moves before he lands. So you might have noticed that his back foot doesn't really move in his swing. So if you watch his back foot here, his back foot, stays still. I wouldn't say it squishes the bug, but it doesn't come up like you see a lot of our videos if you've watched our stuff. So if Byung-ho Park came into our facility today, yes, we would tell him that he could get a little more forward movement, and that would help him pull his back foot off the ground, and we'd tell him why that was better. But you got to remember, he only has to be able to hit the ball so far, and what he does allows him to do that, so he's in pretty good shape. So the reason his back foot doesn't move is because he doesn't move very forward with his head in his stride. So if he doesn't get his body moving forward, he's not going to give his back foot room to pull forward. So the same actions still happen. He's just going to have his back foot stuck in the ground, which creates a little bit of friction. He's not allowed or able to turn as much mass. But that being said, he's still able to create enough force consistently to hit the ball far enough. So what I do like in his swing right here is if you watch his back hip, he's kind of turned it in, counter-turned it in, so he's kind of, you can see it's deeper than his front hip. So that's going to be a resistance for his back hip to fire faster. So when he decides to go, you're going to see that back hip start to unwind, or a lot of people would say uncoil, okay? So he opens his hips, and as he does that, you're going to see a lot of the same move here. This is, again, that low pitch, okay? So he clears his hips. You can see his belt line is pretty open here. His chest is still closed. His front knee is open. He's cleared that front hip, so he's able to pull the back hip through. And you're going to see, yeah, he does drop his hands a little bit, but that's because this pitch is very, very, very low. Look at the catcher's mitt. So this may not even be a strike with how low it is. It's borderline. This catcher's mitt is really low, but what's important is that he still gets his barrel up in the way of the pitch, and he's only able to do that because of this initial vertical flail where it's very vertical here coming down, more like that Ferris wheel. And then from there, most of his work's done because he's in the way of the catcher's mitt. He's below it, right? And we're going to see that ball coming in on that path and his bat coming up through the path. And so, again, this is why still frames are dangerous, because a lot of people see, positions like this at contact. And, right here you might say, okay, well, if he starts in his stance and we have to get to this position, well, maybe we can just drop our hands straight down like this and get the barrel going straight down and get to this spot. But if you really watch the video, you're going to see that that's not what happens. He flails it behind him. He flails it in the way of the catcher's mitt in order to come up through it. And, there's no downward action of that barrel through contact. It's going up, up, up. It goes down back here and then comes up in plenty of time. You're still going to see that hip thrust work. Would we like him to be able to pull his back foot forward a little bit? Sure, but again, he does really well with good vision, head staying still. So I think that he can be really successful because of swings like these. And just to let you guys see these swings kind of in fluid motion, I'll just play all three through again. So that's that low pitch from the side. This is let me back it up a little bit. This is the front view. You're going to really see that Ferris wheel motion as you watch that fluidly. I'll show that one more time. So really coming up through it, really nice Ferris wheel look. So we use that cue a lot, Ferris wheel and merry-go-round. So let's go backwards one more time, and this is his side view that I showed you earlier, and this is the high pitch where he really turns his barrel well and gets his two halves working upward through the ball very, very nicely. So I think that he's going to do really well because he shows on these videos that he can hit the high pitch really well, he can hit the low pitch well, and that's a big key to hitting in the big leagues, is being able to hit a pitcher's best pitch, which is that low pitch. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed watching Byung-ho Park this year. I think he can do really well, and I'm excited to watch more film of him in a Twins uniform. Thanks for watching, guys.